markets, let's talk commodities and let's talk cricket. Peter McGuire joins us now, and
Peter's here for the IPL.
it's not AI version of you, right? It's real Peter McGuire
It's
who
the
is
real
in studio.
one in person.
Right, yeah. In our studios.
So what are we starting with?
Well, I think it's an interesting time over Easter. We've seen dramatic moves, and we're worrying, as far as geopolitical fronts, the China-Taiwan situation, what's going on ongoing with Russia and crude. So I think that's going to be a very interesting quarter, how it plays out over the next, couple of months. The first quarter was electric, and I think this quarter is going to be equally volatile and exciting.
When you say volatile, what would it spell for crude, especially considering now OPEC is getting so active, cutting production? We've already seen a spiral up.
Yeah, that really shook the market last Sunday week, and I think it hit everyone with a six. It was out of the field. It really surprised everyone. And that in turn, I think there's further upside. Many of the investment banks are saying 95 is achievable, maybe even 100. So I just want to see where we are over the next matter of weeks. If anything escalates as far as tensions geopolitically, we could put $15, $20 on very, very quickly. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting times across that trading complex.
OPEC is cutting because they're worried about demand.
Yeah.
Is that good news? Is that bad news?
Well, I don't know. I mean, when you think about demand, we're still at 100 million barrels approximately a day from a big picture perspective. Yes, you could see a softening as far as demand, but, China's still doing incredible numbers. The world is, I've only got to drive past Mumbai and I've been here 12 hours and it's just incredible. The construction here, the movement, the mobility. So, you can't kid yourself that there's not huge demand across the planet. And we've just got to see where that all plays out from an OPEC perspective. And it's going to be, again, very exciting for the complex.
What about the Chinese recovery? How does that impact commodity, particularly crude prices?
Well, it's been strong. I mean, they've come out of the blocks very quickly after Lunar New Year, and I think it really surprised everyone with those growth forecast numbers moving forward. So I think, from a demand picture, we're very strong demand for crude, strong for base metal, strong for really every commodity in the world. And I think there's been chronic underinvestment over the last decade, which is going to come home to roost, which will in turn, I think, make this decade a continuation of the super cycle across the commodity complex.
Peter, the concern, it's not a concern, but it's something which we've been debating and mulling over from last couple of days, is that historically what we've read is that weakness in the dollar index, or weakness in dollar is strength in commodities.
Sure.
That interplay this time has failed. Why is that?
Well, the dollar's come under continued pressure to the downside. It was there was a point in time that it was only a couple of months back, when it hit that 114, everyone was saying, is it capable, the US dollar index, of hitting 120? It's now at 102. You've seen big moves across the yen, of course, pound, Aussie dollar, and naturally the euro. So we're at the end, some are saying, of the rates tightening cycle. Some of those other currencies are going to see a continuation of rate rises. Example, probably the ECB and the pound. So I'm thinking that the dollar will come under a little bit further downdraft. And again, where Jay Powell's rhetoric is and inflation numbers, everyone's sitting on the edge of their seat seeing if there's going to be any surprise with the minutes and his rhetoric.
Precious metals, though, because out of all the commodity baskets, that's where you're seeing maximum returns.
Absolutely.
Gold has added phenomenal.
Yeah, it's been incredible after the last couple of, 6 weeks or so. It's been whipsawing. It goes that 1810 back to 2000, down again and then up. And it's currently at about 2010. I had a look at 2020. So it's got plenty of upside, I think, and the demand picture as far as precious and silver, don't count that one out. Again, central banks have been hoarding gold, buying like crazy, and I think that the retail sector's really on fire.
Peter, when Bitcoin went higher, everyone said it's an alternate.
Yeah.
It's an alternate to currency. And
Sure.
it worked very well.
Yeah.
An unknown entity suddenly had a combined market cap, crypto had a combined market cap of $3 trillion.
That's right.
When it came below 20,000, everyone said, look, currency, a technology cannot substitute a currency. Currency is the sovereign power which every government has.
Sure.
But right now, when the world is slightly shaky,
Yeah.
banks are puffy-duffy, gold is up, Bitcoin is giving it company. So what are we getting it wrong?
I think it was oversold, and I feel as though that the best days are ahead as far as crypto.
Really?
Oh yes, definitely. They're back at 28,000, and the overall momentum I think will be to the upside maybe later on this year. There's a lot of uncertainty. You've got different payment systems that banks are looking at as far as centralized digital and of course decentralized, and the other side is countries asking for payment of commodities or goods other than the petrodollar. So I think that there's going to be, again, a fractured mindset. It's going to be incredible how it plays out. And as an observer looking in, I think volatility, again, across crypto and currencies is going to be incredible.
Would you make Bitcoin 5% of your portfolio, or maybe more?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it'd be pretty hard not to. You know, there's a lot of traders out there that are absolutely in love with it, and I think that that's a global phenomenon, and the young people are really across it, and older with money.
Yeah, and especially in the near term, I think one fallout of the SVB and the banking financial crisis has been also why you've seen that steep reaction in Bitcoin.
Absolutely. You know, 18,000 to 28,000. It's been a monstrous
A lot
move,
of
nearly up
money
50%.
moves out of those banks into Bitcoin.
We've forgotten a lot about that SVP. You know, it's only a month ago. I mean, you know, it shook the markets like anything, and now you're here just on Easter Monday, and it's more or less forgotten about. So I don't necessarily think that that's been put to sleep yet.
You know,
How are you positioned in India? Do you have any exposure to Indian markets directly or indirectly?
Well, I mean, what we do, we're offering, you know, retail derivatives globally, but as far as a personal side, I just think that there's just so much upside. I've been an advocate of India, and I'm not saying that because I'm here, but it's, you know, you only got to look at the dynamics. Incredibly young population, growing population, appetite, entrepreneurship, innovation. Some of the best professors in the world are Indian. I've been trained at US business schools, and you know, the brain's trust here is just immense. So I'm not doubting India's recovery or growth over this decade, let alone what will happen in the next matter of decades. So the best years, I think, for an economic growth are ahead for India. And you've only got to look at, you know, the construction here, the infrastructure, and everything is just coming up the curve at 1,000 miles an hour. It's boom time. It truly is. You know, it's mind blowing.
speaking of boom time, would that be an adjective that you'd use to describe gold prices as well? Any particular levels that you'd be tracking, or has it pretty much run its course?
I don't think it's run its course. I think its best days are again ahead of it. And I think how it trades over the next 18 months is going to be electric. I wouldn't be surprised to see big whipsaws, and I won't be surprised to see it up from here considerably. I don't know what that number's going to be, but I think the overall momentum, central banks buying, geopolitical concerns, there's a lot of pluses playing into gold's picture and its basket.
Sounding very bullish to me. Bullish on crude, bullish on Bitcoin, bullish on India. What are you bearish on?
Well, in some ways, I'm saying, you know, you see something like the Nasdaq at 16,000, then it's back to, you know, 10,000, now at 12,000. There's a lot of fear across Main Street as far as earnings season, how they're going to go as far as equities. I'm pretty sure that equities probably will have another leg up, but I just want to take my point in time to look where US trades in the next matter of months. Inflation worries me. And that's a concern that the world's, you know, trying to get its head around how that's going to play as far as equity market growth. We've got strong interest rates, and you know, that flight to safety from money market versus equity. So yeah, I'm sitting here going, yep, just looking at it all and inhaling and yeah, being patient. I think you've got to be patient at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Peter, great to have you in the studios, and I'm guessing you must have already seen a couple of IPL matches.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, they've been incredible, and you know, it's just such a wonderful game, and yeah, I'm looking for as the season wears on, the excitement is really going to ramp up in the next couple of weeks.